Okay, I'm going to show you how we take our finished quilts and hang them, photograph them, post them. We're using the Easy Clip. Usually about 5 is all we need. One on each end, one in the middle. And then I usually just split the distance between the two. It doesn't really matter because the hanger slide part of the system we use is adjustable, so we can make that work. Okay, I'm going to move this into our living room where we take our pictures. We have a quilt display base set up here in the living room. We have some natural light behind it, but we live in the Seattle area, so we can't trust light. We begin by just putting the hangers on the clips. The hangers move so we can put them anywhere we want. Sometimes they stay. Okay. So now we have the quilt square and construction type floodlight. This is not photo quality or professional shop quality. I've just taken the grates off the front, but it gives me a pretty even flood of light on the quilt. On my picture taking, I pretty much do the same thing on every quilt. I take a full frontal shot. I take a full shot at a 45-degree angle. I take a shot where the back is folded over the front to give that contrast. I take a picture of the edge one side, and note I am pulling the quilt to take best advantage of the contrast to show the texture. So that's picture number 5. And everything I do on all of these quilts, I do consistently every quilt, because I know exactly how much space it's going to take in terms of megabytes and what I'm trying to achieve. So I'm going to get 9 shots of the front. Again, I'm going to adjust the quilt to get the best contrast. And then I am going to flip the quilt. I mean, the primary purpose of our pictures is to show the quilting. It's a value-added service that we give to all of our customers, but we are emphasizing the quilting. This is the back side of the quilt. I'll take a full shot of the back side. And then I'll take I need 3 or 4 pictures of the back. So I never go more than 15 pictures per quilt. That actually is about 15 megabytes. And when I get through with it and get ready to publish it, I will have it down to 1 megabyte. Okay, now we're going to get to the part of the computer and website stuff. We're looking for quilter Cindy. And find next. Close, there she is. Adding another quilt to her repertoire. Okay, Lynn has done a intake form, and all the information that I need is on here. So this is a range 4, and this is I again do everything very consistently. Cindy K. It's a lap quilt, and today's date 03/18/15. I repeat that date in this column. Sometimes I want to search by date. This is her 4th quilt. 3, Cindy K, Control X. I use a lot of keystrokes as opposed to the mouse, just because it's much faster. I have an HTML description of the quilt which will go into the website. I want to do Control Copy and put that up here. And then I have an HTML on their home page, which I always move to the top. So now I'm just going to type in the description in text. Cindy K lap quilt. Size is 54 by 63.5. Today's date 03/18/15, and range for quilting. And then her descriptions: heavy metal on the outside of blue center star, curls in center of star, cherry twist in all segments of star, feather wreaths in golden squares and triangles, wiggle lines in tiny gold strip, feather vine in gold rectangles top and bottom, curls in blue border, butterfly wings on a vine, and outside border. If there's anything particular about the quilt, we're using Hobbs 80/20 batting. Nothing specific given on the design or pattern, so that's it. So I come up to my Excel top menu, do a spelling check, everything's okay. Control Copy, again, shortcut, go into the Edit section, Control V will paste that, Alt file save, that file is saved. Okay, now I need to go into Quilting Services, which is what this is, most of what Lynn does. Unposted quilt, the last quilt that we put in here, I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to put it in the file Customer Quilts Posted on the Web. Go back and Unposted Quilts, a new folder, one too many. I have a pub template, Microsoft Publisher, that I use. I'm going to paste that in there. I took the chip out of the camera. It's a removable disk now in the computer, and all my pictures are there, so I'm going to copy all of those. You select the first one, Shift on the last one, it selects them all, Control C will copy them all, goes into the new folder. It's 14 items. I'm going to go back to my Excel file. The short description of the quilt, I'm going to copy that, Control C, go back here, one click on the new folder, it allows me to edit it. I'm going to Control V, which pastes it, open that up, and all the files, the pub templates and all the pictures that I put into this file, I'm going to rename to the same. Again, select, shift, select is all of them. Right click here, rename, control V, enter will change the names of everything. On Cindy K, the publisher, because it's not a picture, I'm going to take its number out. I'm going to right click the first picture, and I'm going to open with Picasa, which is a photo editor. It's a Google product, it's a free product, it does everything we need it to do and more. The first thing I'm going to do is crop that picture, get rid of all the background that I can, apply. I'm feeling lucky, which is the way I post or edit most of these. Cropping the second picture, apply, done. This is the third picture, which is the fold over of the back. Fourth picture, which is the left border. The fifth picture, which is the left corner. Sixth picture, which is the right top. Center picture of that star, and then some detail shots that I did the last of them with. Okay, now we'll do the back. We're cropping that. Again, details, and still more details. On a quilt like this with a solid back, it really showcases the quilting. So again, I've got, I went to the library from there, which is this file that we set up. Again, I'm going to shift enter, which is going to select all of those, go over to File, Export to Folder, and what I have is a folder set up in Quilting Surfaces called Temporary Picasa Imports. What I have there is a watermark for all of our copyright information and so forth. So when I hit Export, it's going to take all of those pictures, it's going to send it to the temporary file, it's going to automatically put the watermarks on. There are pictures. Control copy on the file from the temporary file. Close all this down. And I'm going to post that copied, edited Picasso file into that same file. Now I'm going to open up the Publisher file. Microsoft Publisher is an incredible program. There are other programs out there. This is what we use. I've already set up the template to the size. I think this is, let's see, page design. Let's see what size that is. Page setup is 8.5 by 35. That's what I've come up with in terms of doing everything I want it to do. When I get through saving this, I will have taken 15 megabytes down to 1 megabyte, which is good. I have a color background on this that matches my website. Anyway, so now we're going to go to inserting the pictures. Documents, Scanlan Quilts, Quilting Services, Unposted, Cindy K. Open up the Picasso file, which is going to be the first file in the folder. I'm going to select all of those pictures again, shift, click, insert. I'm going to get all of those pictures inserted into this in one swoop. There they are. Move that up here so I can work with it. The first picture is going to be the full size, and that always goes up there for me. These other pictures are the back, and I have that down at the bottom. I now take the next picture, slide it down, select all of the pictures that are left. I'm going to half those. That'll allow me to get 8 pictures into a very small space. But this is a very big file. They will be very visible when I'm through. Okay, now I'm going to blow this thing up down here. I'm zooming in 60–70%. Well, 60% is good. I'll take these pictures. I'm going to move them up to 2 rows. I don't know whether you can see it or not, but there are little red lines that appear when you place the picture that allow you to line it both directions, vertically, horizontally. Okay, there are my 8 pictures. This square says quilt back. I'm going to take the full picture of the quilt back, put it up there. I'm going to take the next size, so to speak. It's going to be on top of that. That one didn't come, so I need to bring that forward, continue that theme. And my last picture is the last detail. I'm going to bring it forward. Now at this point, I've got to draw a picture out here that's just superfluous. These are good. I'm going to use my arrow, my mouse. I'm going to select all of those pictures, which will automatically get me into picture tools on the top, picture border. This hot pink is our color. I've put that code into the program, so it's always the same. I use a large border, and you can see all of those are now in a border. I'm going to save that as, and this is the neat thing about Publisher, I can save this as anything. I can save it as templates or PDFs or any kind of meta file or even a web page. But I am going to save it as a JPEG. And that allowed me to put it into the website. Okay, so that's saved as a JPEG. We're going to close Publisher. We now have the format and all the information we need to go ahead and post this online. We maintain a, I'm using, let's see, homestead.com. I'm using Mozilla for my website. It's the only program that I access through Mozilla. Otherwise we use Google. And it's almost as good as having 2 computers, because you can use one Explorer to check what's going on in the other. Log in. Homestead is owned by Intuit. It's a good program. It's not that expensive. Website Manager is where we want to go. And we want to edit site. We had 291 visitors in the last 7 days. That's pretty normal. We get 40 to 45 a day on our website, which is much less than I'd like. But anyway, as the program opens, it's going to check the files on my computer. Everything is saved and worked on their end, so there's always going to be delays. Start from save point. I'm going to start from last change. I don't know what their queue and so forth is put in, so I'm going to work it entirely from this side, and then I'll check to make sure my files are up to date. I actually have 4 web pages that I'm going to have to work with. The first one is to create a new page. I'm going to go back to the Excel file. I already have the shortcut highlighted. Control copy that. Go back to my web page or my editor, manager. It's going to get there. Okay. Okay, the only thing I have to make sure is I don't add this to my site's navigation. I Control V, put the file name, hit next, and it's going to create a new page. And again, I always do the same process so that I never have to come back and change anything. I'm going to copy what is now an HTML text back over to my name here. Control V period HTML. That is now in text language that the internet will recognize. While I'm at it, I'm going to copy the HTML text that I created as far as the detail. When you're doing HTML, you want to copy from inside or from the editor. You don't want to copy the cell. It is not a text, and if you do it that way, it's going to come up wrong. So copy it as it is in the HTML language. Go back to the website, advanced head tag HTML, Control V, it's all in there. It's giving the description of the quilt, the date, and all the other information that I want. Background, I like big pictures. Everything about this is for the customer quilts, so I've expanded to 1100 pixels, and I've added the same custom color, or adding the same custom color as I have in Publisher, so that everything blends. I'm going to insert image. Again, we're working on their website, so we have to wait till they sync up and it's happy. Upload from my computer. Documents, Camlin Quilts, Quilting Services, Unposted Quilt, Cindy K, come down, and there's the JPEG that I just saved to Publisher, and that's the picture we want to load. It's going to give me a choice of editing that picture in terms of size. Because everything we're doing is for the picture quilts, I'm going to say no. And what I found is if I don't save at this point, a lot of times the picture won't be where it should be, and I'll have to come back and reload it. So I always save at this point. Saving. Now I have over 1,100 quilts online, each one going to a customer's particular home page, which allows them to share and find and store and organize all of their work. It's a value-added service. It takes about 45 minutes each. If you take 1,145 minutes each, it's a substantial investment on our part, but I think it's very much worthwhile for the customer. We've got that saved. Like I said, we want this to be full size, so I'm going to take the picture, highlight it, click it, come over to the right side in terms of the editing. I want it left oriented at 0. I want the width, the full width, and I want the top at 325. That gives me plenty of room for that HTML to show up here. Now there's some other things that you have to do in terms of meta files, that sort of thing. This is pictures of, I have a file that has all of the information in terms of redundancy, things that I need to add in terms of alternate text or whatever. And I have those, again, consistent. So I'm going to take pictures of, it's a text file, I can copy it from the cell. On alternate text, pictures of, back to Excel, back to quilting, and what this is I'm going to take a portion of this description, the name, the quilt, the size, the date, and the quilting. That gives it absolute distinction in terms of recognition. I'm going to put that in there, pictures of that. Page setting on page description, I'm going to put the same thing. Go back to my web URLs, and this is detail page with pictures. This is the next thing I need to add. Back to the website. Now I'm going to put that in front of the description, because all of these URLs and search engines kind of start at the top and go down. So that goes in front, detail page with pictures of. I'm going to take that. I'm going to paste it to the page name. And then I'm going to copy the next bit of information to go up there, which is, this is quilting service, freehand, free motion quilting by Lynn, Camlin Quilts. Put that in, period, space, publish. That's it. This is now a URL address, standard searchable file on the internet that will be there forever. Now, usually while I'm waiting for things to save, I will go into my Intuit. I will look up my customer, and I will start an invoice rather than watch paint dry. So new transactions, invoices, Cindy K. This is going to be delivered to the quilt shop. I take 54 times 63.5. That'll give me the square inches. This is quilting service, level 4. That'll give me the price. Automatically add the tax. I'm going to go back into quilting and get a full description of the quilt and text and add it on there just for complete detail. I'm going to add the batting, which is 1.78 yards of Hobbs 80/20. It's automatically priced. I'm going to save that. The invoice is done and ready to go. Ignore all. Okay, so that's done. Okay, it seems to have saved the file and it's publishing, and please wait. I can close that out and come back to this page. I'm going to scroll down on the files to find this file. Cindy K. Down here is Cindy K without a quilt name. There's her home page. So the next thing I'm going to do is add this quilt to her home page. Page settings. On the advanced settings, I'm going to change that to 4 quilts. I'm going to take those 2 quilts, move them down here, take this quilt, copy, paste. I always put the latest quilt at the front, which is no problem with 4 quilts, but I've had customers with dozens or dozens and dozens, and it can be quite the process making sure the last quilt is always first. I've got the thumbnail, and this is actually bigger than a thumbnail, but I'm going to replace that. Go into Cindy K file, which again comes up first. I usually use the one that's the angle, the second picture, to kind of give a better view of the quilt. Big images. On this one we're going to say yes on editing instead of full size. And all I'm going to do is move it down far enough to pick up our watermark copyright information, and that's done. Go back to my Excel file. And this saved HTML, this URL address that I saved when I was doing the page, I'm going to copy that. That becomes, okay, and there's the publish. It finally did that. We're back here. I'm going to put that in here in terms of the link. When I link, I always delete part of the previous information and then backspace, because any space or change in this, it's not going to work the way we want it to. Control V puts that in. We're opening it in another browser window. That is correct. We need the new description of the quilt, which is this And we're going to put that up here, Control V. Okay, obviously we need to change that to a bigger size. And we need to change that font to a smaller font. All your editing is done on the right hand side. We're going to change that to a 9. Okay, now we're going to take a partial description off of here, Control Copy, and alternate text, link to detailed web page of. And again, I'm going to delete and backspace to where I want to be to make sure that I don't distort it. Publish and view this page. Let's see how long this takes. That's not too bad. And we can sit here and wait for this, or we can close it and it'll pop back up when it's done. I'm going to take this and copy it because I have another web page that I need to update, and that's we call current projects. I have with as many quilts and projects that we have online. Okay, published. There's Cindy K Lab. Hit that button, it goes where it's supposed to be, so that website is correct. I have a file called current projects, which just the last 90 days of projects give people an idea of what we're doing. We do more than quilting. I have a lot of my stained glass and so forth in here too. But anyway, the last 60 days, today's the 18th. So the first thing I'm going to do is go down to the bottom of this, and anything 18th is going bye-bye. That's the 20th, so we're okay. Come up here, and we're going to move everything down. Make another row here. Okay, we moved everything down. I hit paste, and there's the file that I just saved. And I'm going to pop just one of these up here, and that gives me room to update for the next time. Publish this page. So current projects is done. One more file that I update in terms of the customer homepage index. So every quilt requires setting up, modifying 4 different pages in the website. Publishing current projects page, and again I'll let it pop up when it's through. I'm going to modify the 4th page that I need. Oh, there it goes. Current projects. And last week's stained glass. Today's quilt. It's all right there. Okay, good. So no thanks in terms of sharing. Now I'm going to customers. The customers is the home page for all the customer quilt albums. First thing I'm going to do is update the number of quilts. This is not a new customer, so the only thing I need to change is the number of quilts. So page settings, I put it both in the HTML. So 1,103 quilts in 189 albums. Page name 1,103 quilts in 189 albums. Come down to my links, which are all URL addressed. Whoops. Damn it. There it is. Links. I'll have to change or undo that because everything moved there. Links. I want to come down to Cindy K. 4 quilts now, so I changed 3 to 4. Publish this page. So that is the album homepage. So all of our customers, whether they're 55 quilts or 1 quilt, they all have their home page. They're all accessible from this page. It makes it very easy for the customer to see their quilts, to share their quilts, and to track their quilts. You'd be surprised. I mean, people do so many quilts, they have no idea how many they've done. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine that we've delivered 1,100 quilts. And if I were tracking it, I wouldn't really know that. So Cindy K now says 4. 1,103 quilts. We're going into Cindy K. There's her last quilt, the one we just did. There's the HTML, arm free motion quilting by Lynn, and the description of her quilt. All of the pictures that we saved. Everything's right there. So she should be a happy cowboy, cowgirl. No thanks. Account. Sign out. We're done.